Okay, gentlemen, welcome to my weakest video yet. Couldn't figure out how to get the narration to work on the new Movie Maker, so this is what you get, just a bunch of pictures and me talking over them. So everybody knows what the OEM muffler assembly looks like on the Zuma 125. So here are the 3 layers of steel you have to remove to get at the catalytic converter. Again, this modification is for off-road use only. There's what it looks like with the cat removed. As you can tell, there's the 3 walls of steel that you must pass through to get at the cat. I ended up using an angle grinder with a cutting wheel attached. But a pneumatic saw would probably be a bit cleaner. Pardon me, feeling a bit under the weather. Okay, there, if you can make it out, is the weld after the fact, after welding in all 3 of those layers of steel back on. And there it is a little bit closer. I'm not a professional welder, but all my welds hold and are airtight, so they don't look the best, but que sera, sera. So as you can see, it patches up fairly nicely. Not quite as nicely as stock, but oh well. That's what it looks like with the cover on. You can hardly tell that catalytic converter has been adjusted, perhaps a little bit of scarring underneath there on the weld. There it is a bit closer of that scarring again. Okay, here is how kind of how the can looks like stock. I actually cut it off and put it back on just to give you an idea of what it looked like before. And this, from here on, will be the process for removing the baffling and things like that, opening up the exhaust a bit more. There it is off. As you can see, the cap was cut off. I again used my cutting wheel and my angle grinder, cut it just behind the weld, the OEM weld, and that did not get into the actual baffling perforation. So again, got lucky on where I cut it, so it worked out really well. There is the end cap, as well as the one of the exhaust tubes that comes out, and then obviously the exhaust dump there at the tip is very small, and then one of the mounting tabs off of the muffler. There's a picture of it to kind of illustrate how close it was to the that perforation chamber, but if you just stay real close to the weld, no problems will be had. There, if you look right in, kind of towards the bottom, you can see some catalytic material, as well as some just general flotsam and jetsam from doing the modifications. We'll address that later. There's the parts that will be used to create a new tip and cap. Well, except for the cutting disc, the rightmost part is a spark arrestor off of a Honda CRF 230F. You'll see how I use that later. Here it is. I cut that up a little bit, angled it down so it would have a little bit more interesting of a profile. Came out pretty well. There's, I'm just explaining or showing to kind of port match whatever tip you're going to use, if you're going to use any tip at all, with the opening, just for a little bit less turbulent of a channel. And there, as I mentioned when I post this to Zuma forums, a lot of crap gets in there, and as I showed you in that picture before, good old shop vac, just stick it in there and take out all the pieces, because once you weld it on there, everything's in there for good. There it is, all nice and clean, the 4 different chambers. Okay. There's a picture of it after I've applied some VHT high heat without the cover put back on. There it is with cover back on. Can't tell a whole lot of difference except for that tip. Gives it kind of a militaristic look, semi like a flash suppressor off a rifle. So kind of nice. There's another picture of it, and then finally another profile picture. Notice I did use a Dremel, or fake Dremel, to cut off that mounting tab off the plastic, just so it wasn't sticking out there, because you don't use that mounting point any longer. The plastic also has to be, the inner diameter of the cover had to be widened for the enlarged tip. Alright, that's it. Hopefully that helped anybody. If you have any questions, let me know. 1K Young at Zuma Forums.